Hi, Doris. Great. You sent us more essays. Let's take a look at what you've done here. Let's see. It's about longer working hours. So let's see what you said. First of all, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Make sure that you include the prompt in your answer. This way I can refer to it when I correct your essay, okay? Let's see what you said. Experts throughout the world have debated whether longer working hours lead to better economic outcomes for a country. While some believe that countries with employees with long working hours have higher productivity, personally, I argue that long working hours are beneficial for developing countries to a certain extent, but developed countries are more successful with short working hours. Okay, I like that you kind of, took like a middle ground here. That's good because it tells us that to what extent, the extent is not 100% on one side. And so that's a good way of doing this. You showed that there's a gray area here. Okay, so it's not 100% in one direction, and that's a good way of showing that, it's not something very clear cut. So I like that. Let's see what you did in your body paragraphs. On the one hand, there is ample evidence many Asian countries reap their economic success through having long working hours. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, many companies in manufacturing industries can increase their daily output for not for extended working hours, but I think you mean because of, or let's say, they can increase their daily output through extended working hours. For example, recent empirical research from the Chinese government showed that items produced daily per employee is much higher compared to the United States under the same watch company. Okay, could you just tell us here that that's because the Chinese workers work longer hours? Make that clear, okay? It must not be forgotten that although they hire less staff, no S, in China, the long hours are the main factors behind the higher productivity. Okay, that makes sense. Fine. Okay. I think it's just that you had this, it must not be forgotten, which kind of threw me off. It made a lot more sense for you to just say this, the main factor behind this productivity is that although companies hire less staff in China, the long working hours are the main factor. So that would have made a little more sense, just kind of rephrasing this. So I didn't know if you needed all of this. It must not be forgotten, okay? But that's good. I liked it. On the other hand, although there is a case for countries which strongly rely on manufacturing, now look what happened here. You only have half of this sentence. When you have an although, you also have to have a contrasting clause, so a second part of the sentence which shows the contrast, and you didn't do that. So I think you meant to include it with the next sentence here. So this probably should have been one sentence. Let's read it again. On the other hand, although there is a case for countries which strongly rely on manufacturing, the impact of long working hours cannot be overstated, especially in countries with a modern economy. This is largely because overworking can lead to burnout, usually singular, okay? And employees who suffer from exhaustion will make more errors. For example, an extensive study by Stockholm University demonstrated that over 90% of technology companies in Sweden improved production errors after shortening work hours to 80%. Okay, consistent with this line of thinking is that workers tend to procrastinate and overthink the task when given more time to work. Okay, full stop here. And then I think you need a therefore. It is possible to state beyond doubt that employees can produce more quality work when working shorter hours daily. Yep, okay. So full stop here and have a therefore or consequently. Those would have worked. From the arguments and examples given, you can see I automatically said it even though you didn't write it. That's what belongs there. I firmly believe that long working hours provide more economic gains for developing countries, but not for developed countries. It is predicted that short working hours will increasingly grow in importance in modern society. Okay, it's lovely, Doris. You've done a lot of nice things in this essay. I liked it. I liked that you showed that it's a sophisticated issue that you can't just say 100%, I'm in favor of it or I'm against it. You showed that it really depends, and so I liked that. That shows like a certain kind of mature thinking which is viewed favorably in IELTS. So I'm glad you took that route. I thought you did a nice job of it, so well done, okay? Little things throughout the essay, but nothing super, super serious. Some good vocabulary. Yeah, no, some good vocabulary, no problems there. I do want to see maybe some higher level grammar, maybe something a little more sophisticated. You did have some problems with some of your advanced grammar, like this sentence here with the although. So let's try to work on some of those more advanced grammatical phenomena to really kind of raise the level of this essay. But on the whole, I think you did well. So let's take a look now at your task 1. All right, so now let's go on to your task 1. It's a letter to your friend. Let's see what you wrote. Dear Kat, I'm writing to let you know that I have a bit of bad news to share related to our plans to meet up in April. I'm really looking forward to catching up with you, but I am so sorry that something unplanned came up at work, so I will need to postpone. Okay. I'm not going to be able to make it as I will be attending a conference in Europe as a colleague of mine had some family emergencies, so I have to replace her role. The business trip will run from April 1 to 7. My boss expected me to attend for the whole week. On a positive note, I will be back on the following week and have a whole week off as a compensation. There is also a house party I'm going to host on that weekend. You are more welcome to come along and stay at my place after April 8. I hope to see you then. Best regards. Okay. On the whole, I like it. On the whole, you covered everything that you're supposed to cover. So as far as task achievement is concerned, you did very well. As far as the organization of your letter is concerned, you did very well. So task achievement and coherence and cohesion are dealt with very well. Okay? So the areas that I wanted to fix a little bit were grammar and vocabulary. So I want to look through the whole letter again and maybe correct some of these expressions. Okay, so you have some suggestions on how to fix these. Now, since you're writing to a friend, the first thing we typically include in a letter to our friend is something asking about your friend's well-being. So, hi Kat, how are you? Hi Kat, I hope you are well. All right, some sort of acknowledgement of that. Okay, and then you have to be careful with this. I'm writing to let you know. It wasn't bad, but because it wasn't preceded with this, how are you? Or, hey, I'm really glad to hear from you. It felt a little formal. All right. And you want to be careful with that because you don't want the examiner to think that you are confusing your tone and that, in some places you're formal, in some places you're informal. So what I would have done here is, Dear Kat, I was really happy to hear your letter. I was really happy to receive your letter. But I wanted to write and let you know that I have a bit of bad news to share related to our plans to meet up in April. You could have kept that. That's fine. So, yeah, is it a little long? Yeah, but you could have split it up somehow. But I want you to understand the tone that is expected in an informal letter. I'm really looking forward to catching up with you, but I'm so sorry that something unplanned came up at work, so I will need to postpone. All of that was fine. Here, where was it? Here it was. You had as and you had as again, which just felt a little repetitive, so I would have replaced it. So I'm not going to be able to make it as I will be attending a conference in Europe. Full stop. Unfortunately, a colleague of mine had a family emergency, so I have to replace her. Full stop. The business trip will run from April 1 to April 7, and my boss expects, all right, it's plural, it's in the future, so expects would be more appropriate here, expects me to attend for the whole week. On a positive note, I will be back the following week, you don't need the on here, and have the whole week off as compensation without that A. And I didn't like your starting the sentence here with there is. How about I will also be hosting a house party that weekend. And you are more than welcomed to join and stay at my place after the 8th of April. I hope to see you then. All right, so I think you also could have had a fuller closing here. So you could have said something more like, again, I'm really sorry about this change in our plans, but I'm hoping to see you the following week. Okay, so just really kind of wrap it up a little more fully. And then I think you would have been really in great shape here. All right, so let's see about this. It was 166 words, so you were fine. Just a few little minor changes, but you were definitely on the right track here. All right, so go ahead and correct these. Return them back to us corrected. Don't forget your error correction list and send us more essays, okay? We'll be waiting for them, so good luck.